Hello YouTube and friends, I am back to you with yet another video, a technical video on Svelte, which is a very fast JavaScript framework which is comparable to Angular, React or Vue.js. So what are we going to do with this Svelte? We will build up a CRUD application based on this web page. I will give the link to you below in my description. Building a CRUD application with Svelte. The author credit goes to Wisdom Export. And then I will leave the developed data in my GitHub and you can download the repository and then you can use it because it's a very clean and nice starter application that I am going to present to you and give it to you so that you can further build up your career or interest with Svelte. Svelte is a really nice framework, but of course if you know React, Vue or Angular beforehand, it's better that you will be easily understanding. If not, you can still tag along and then you can become a more expert in Svelte. So here are the commands that Svelte website is giving us to install the Svelte. So we have to do npx degit svelteJS template my Svelte project, and then we can cd to my Svelte project. Of course, the my Svelte project you can put any name you wish, and then once you do that you can run npm run dev for seeing the Svelte served. So here is the project finished mode of the project. Let me refresh the screen. You can see here add new note. So I'm going to add a new note. This is an amazing note. Category, let's put it as college. A college note, and then we add note. Keep your eyes here, look at the right screen, add note. You can see it's already. So let's edit this, edit it, and then let's change the category to school. You can see here the category is college now, so edit it, it becomes school. And finally, if we want, we can delete it and delete it and delete it. All is gone. So if we refresh, the first two nodes come into picture because we have hard-coded it into our file. Now the second thing I want to say is that this is not connected to any API. Probably if I get time, I will give you another tutorial how to connect it with an API. Currently it is a standalone Svelte framework, so we call it is not persisting, right? Only it's persisting on those two hard-coded nodes we have. Of course delete is happening, but in the background the hard-coded data is there. That's why when we refresh it, it's come back to us. Okay, that being said, let's go into the application. So here you can see in my VS Code, I have put the reference code here, credits to the author, and then this is the whole structure of the Svelte: public, scripts and src. Usually we will be interested in the src and public, so let's open the public first. Once we open the public, you can see that there's an index.html. so the extra modifications from the template skeleton that we got after installation is that we have to include the bootstrap CDN as here, and then we style the body with a background of this. So you can see that there's a background nice color there, right? That being said, we will close index.html and we won't be needing that anymore as of now, except that if you want to change anything in the CSS for the whole website, you can change here, which is the global CSS. currently we are not interested in the CSS, we are explaining how the Svelte is working, right? So these are the nodes which is in a JSON array. As you can see, there are two datas here which you can see here. Let's change it. Sweetest framework ever, we will change it to forever. Let's see, it will be immediately reflected because of hot reloading, same like React or Laravel or any frameworks. There is a hot reload. Sweetest framework forever, right? So now if we refresh it, it will be still there because we have that hard-coded data here. So the ID is 1 and 2. Please take note of this ID because I will explain to you the importance of that later. So first of all, we have the nodes, then we have a data object, as you can see here, data, which is having title, category, content, ID, which is following the same pattern or structure as this. There is a title, there is a category, there is a content, as you can see in the nodes. Okay, so we can say that data is a basic skeleton of the nodes, where nodes is forming an array of many data objects. Now there are a few functions here. We will come back to them later. We will first of all go into a section. As you can see, the section is here, and then the style. So let me open a new file just to illustrate for you. So I will open it like in src as a new file, test.svelte svelte. So remember that since we are using Svelte framework, the extensions will form as Svelte. So here we got the Svelte framework. So basically a Svelte page will have three main components. First will be the script. I am just explaining to you the skeleton of the any Svelte component or page, as you can call it, right? Svelte page, let's say like that. So script, there's a script tag followed by a section which we call it as HTML markup, and finally we will have a style page or a style block, actually. So these are the three blocks here: script, section, and style. So you can see here, let's go through the block here. Script, you can see script, and then section is the HTML markup followed by the style. So this style is very unique, as the author has done for us. I have modified it, of course. I will explain to you how to change the fonts in a short time now. So let's go through this. So let's delete this. I don't want this, and I will delete this. Now you understand the base of the anatomy of a Svelte page, right? So now inside the script, we will declare the nodes, we will declare the data as a skeleton, and the ID is null, remember. Null is nothing, and then we have add node, we have delete node, we have update node. These are the three functions that are available inside this script tag. And the main JS is doing what? It is just targeting the document body, where HTML is the body of this one. You can see here, let's go into the HTML, and this is the body it's targeting. So in the body we have declared a background, which we are seeing it here, the background. So let's go back to the app.svelte. So now we can see that the section is followed by a container, which is a bootstrap container, and a row with a margin top and bottom of 5 pixels, followed by a division column MD6. So you can see that this is one division and this is another division. So you can see the whole bootstrap structure here. Section, division, class, container, it is closing here. You can see the bootstrap is partitioned into two columns with which is contained inside a row, which is further contained inside a container, which is encompassed by the section. So this is not a bootstrap tutorial, so I won't be covering more of the bootstrap. This is a CSS framework, as you can know. You can Google for bootstrap if you don't know about it. So let's look at the data inside. So there are two columns here. So let's open up the first column, which is the left column, which we are seeing here. Add note, okay. So here you can see this is declared as a card, bootstrap card with a body. So we will come to these conditionals later. Body and then a form. So you can see here the body is containing a form. So what is the data on the form? The title, it is having a title, and then category and select category, finally the content. Let's check it out. Title, category, select category, and the content. Finally there is a button, add note button. Okay, so I can just change it to a success for you to see the difference. Now it has become a green color, right? So that is the bootstrap technique. So category, we can see there's a home, school and college. So important focus need to be put here for the category. So let's go through the different inputs and I will explain the category. So we will go through the conditionals later. So let's go through the form. It's a simple form, as you can see. The form is spanning until here. Okay, so what are the contents of the form? Let's go through one by one. Label. For title, we have seen title. So the input, just think it as an input. Now what is happening here? Input value, normally we will declare as an input value. So the svelte is declaring it as bind value. You have to bind the value to make it two-way binding, as we call it, with the data title. So currently when nothing is added there, the title is taken as the default value, which is here as null or nothing there as an empty string. So data title, similarly data category, and then data content. Finally the button is a submit button. So now let's look at the category. That is the most important. It's a select category, right? So you can see here there is a select button with option. So the first option is selected, disabled, select a category. As you can see here, let me click it, category, select category. I cannot select this one, right? So I can select home, school and college, but not this one. That is why it's disabled, and it will show the default category. And then the option is home, college and school. So the values are home, college and school following the same text, which is of course reflected here. You can see everything is connected. So you can see category is college, category is school. There is no category like university, right? Because it doesn't have here in our selection. So we have to follow the selection for the hard-coded data. That is the most important thing. And how to do a category and a selection box, this is the way Bootstrap does it. Okay, and then the others are very easy. Content, it's a text area. So you can understand the difference between input and text area. Input is like a small box, whereas text area, you can see it is a spanning 3 rows. As you can see, the text area is spanning 3 rows. This is the input, but this is a text area. But both data is text. That's why inside text area we no need to declare type as text, because it's a text area. Whereas for input it could be number, so or a password or email. So we have to declare the type as text here, because that's a text. Now we have understood all the basic framework of the form, how the form was declared. Now the dynamics of the form. Let's look into the dynamics of the form. So first of all, let's look at the button. Okay, so Inside the form, there will be a button here. So add note button and then edit note button. Why we have this together? Because we are using the same form to add data or edit data. I'll show you now. Okay, let me refresh first. Click it. So when I click it, it becomes edit. You see, if I refresh again, the default is add note. There's nothing there. The data is, as I have told you, is just nothing. It's empty strings. But when I click any edit, let's see, school is the category, intro to Svelte framework. I click this. Category is the school. Title is intro to Svelte framework. The best, let's say. So you can see edit note is active now, the same form. So I click this, intro to Svelte framework, the best. And then it comes back to add note once we used the button already. So here let me add test data, category, let me put as college, and then test data again, add note. So immediately it adds the note. And of course the delete is happening here. You can see. I'll explain to you later on that. So now we are looking at add note. So the moment I click it, you can see here add note is changed to edit note. Edit note, right? Yeah, with the data coming or populated into the form. So let's go back to the code. That is why this if else statement is coming. So we can see that in Svelte, the if statement is like this. You had to put braces and then followed by the hash key with if, and then you put the conditionals, and then else is a dot with else. This is the structure or the syntax of if else statement in Svelte. So you can further check into the documentation on the if else statements. So basically I'm explaining it to you here. So now let's say if the edit is fault. So basically the default is edit is fault. You can see here we have declared let is edit equal to false. That is the default value. So once the default value is hit, immediately the Svelte understands that this is going to be add note. That's why it's showing the add note. So when we refresh it, it's just showing the add note, right? That's the default value. So now add note because edit is false. Then what happens if edit is true? And who makes the edit is true? Edit note makes the edit is true, right? So what happens is, let's go to the button in the form, which is here. You can see here on click of the button, it goes to update node, right? So here you can see that this place, okay, here you can see that in the button, right, it's a type of submit edit node button. So once we click here, immediately it is set as edit and data is populated. So we have to come to the TD button of the table. Let's go to the TD button. We can search by edit. Okay, control F EDIT. Let's look at it. We want to look at the data where edit is there, not edit note. Yeah, this is the button which sets, you can see here, button class on click edit note with note. Why with note? The data is being transmitted to edit note as a parameter. So if we go up there to the edit note, or we can search this one, control C, control F. Here you can see edit node is a function and the note is a parameter, which is the input parameter, and is edit is set to true. So once the edit node sets it to true and data is passed into, so remember earlier the data was null, now the data is having note, which is the input here. So it's being passed in. So let's look at the dynamics again. So for newcomers, it's a bit of confusing. That's why I'm trying to explain in a more detailed way. I click the edit. So isEdit was set to true, and immediately Svelte understood that it is edit node, and the data was populated as note, as you can see here, where note was the input on the button with the function edit node. So it was populated and then it was served into the form and we are able to edit it. Edited. So once we click this edit node, another function is being called. So edited happens. So let's go to that function, which is the conditionals just we saw. Where was the conditionals? Let's look at it. It hit here, edit node, and then we did an update node. And one more thing is that you can see that on click prevent default. So prevent default is coming as a pipe function for Svelte framework. That's very convenient and easy. Whereas for React or Angular, we had to put on prevent default in our function with the event emitter. But here it's a compact one. You can see on click prevent default. Then what is the function to be called? It's update node. You can see here the update node is here. In the update node, what is happening? Immediately isEdit is being set into, it's a toggling mode, because once the update node is hit, immediately we have to bring back the isEdit to a false value, because currently the isEdit was true. Now it's being set to false here. Why? Because once the submit happens, the add node has to come back as the default value. That is why. So let node.db is equal to title data.title. The data is populated here, right? And then category, content, and data ID. So once that is done, what is happening? Node.db is already populated with that. It's a variable. So we are going to find the object index, where from all the nodes we find the index of object such that the object ID is same as node.db ID. That means, let's say we are editing ID number 2. Then from the nodes we are finding what is the object index, which is of course 2, because based on the node.db ID we have to find the object ID, and it is assigned object index, and then nodes will be assigned back to the node.db. So the thing is that nodes already had the old data. Now we are replacing the old data for that particular index with the node.db. Node.db is the one which we are updating. So for example, let me show you the dynamics here. It's a bit of complicated, as I told you. For newcomers, for people who know CRUD operations, it's very easy. You can click here. We clicked here. Immediately what happened in the background? The edit node has been toggled already, but it won't be affected until we click this, which is calling the update. So edit node is calling the update function actually. So here, when I update the node 1 to 3, and then maybe I change the category to home or whatever I wanted here, I updated, right? At this point, node.db is containing the data I put here. This is the data which is contained in the node.db. So that is a variable. And then object index we need to find. For example, this was the second ID, right? No, it was the first ID. So the first ID has been found out by this function, and then nodes original nodes object index, which is nodes 1. You can see here, this is the nodes 1 data. Node 1 data will get assigned as node DB, which is our updated value. Once that is done, we come back to data and then reset is as null, as you can see. So why we do that? Let me show you. I press this, immediately the data must clear here. So that's why it's reset as null, and immediately the add node is happening because the toggle happened and add node was looking for the data, but the data was already reset to null. So it's something like a form reset here. So that is the whole dynamics, guys and girls. Hope you like this video. Explaining this was a bit difficult, so if you are in doubt, you can pause the video or rewind the video and look at it again. So I tried my best to explain to you in a very short time with a ready-made data. Of course, I have modified it compared with the author, and I have put it in my GitHub. Of course, credits to the author. I'll put the link, original link, in my description also on the author's notes or the website link. Then one more thing is that let's come back to delete option. So remember that whenever there's a delete that is going to happen or there is going to happen an edit, we of course need an ID. So for the ID of edit, we had a way to find it, and we had to assign it into the nodes as an index to replace the updated data, as I explained to you. But for the delete operation, it is very simple and easy. For the delete node is the function where we pass node ID. So you can go to the delete function, the ID is passed in, and then the nodes, we do a filter such that the node ID is not equal to ID. That means we take the nodes, all the nodes without except this node which is having this ID. That is called the delete function, right? So we don't want this node with this ID anymore. So we will filter it out. That's what is happening here. So let's go back here. Let me refresh. And you can see, let's say I am deleting the second. So we want the one only. So let's assume, let's put one more node. Hello world. And then category should be like college, and then hello college. Yeah. And then we add the nodes. So we got 3 IDs, right? So what happens is that, let's say I want to delete ID number 1. So what does that mean? Retain ID 2 and 3. So filter ID 1 out. That is what is happening. So I delete, filtered happened, ID 1 and 1 is filtered out. That's what is happening in this statement. That's a pure JavaScript statement. So the advantage of Svelte as a read from document is that it is more towards a vanilla JavaScript, but it is very powerful like a React, Vue.js or Angular framework. That means it's a competitor of those frameworks, and this is a very slim framework, that as they call it. So it's very user friendly and nice. So if possible, I got the time, I will come back to you guys with the API call with this Svelte framework. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like it. Put the comments what you want from me so that I can plan some of my videos which matches your requirements. I do mentorship and training services as well. You can contact my social media links, my email, my WhatsApp. So we will have a chat, and then I can explain to you what you will benefit with my mentorship training. So yeah, hope you liked it. And finally, there will be a note on how to change the Google fonts, which is very nice and good. So let us explain to you how do we change the Google fonts here. So straight away go to the Google fonts. You just click it and then you will have a lot of Google fonts here. And then let's see how we can do it. Let's choose as Anton, for example. So if we choose Anton, select this style, and then you have to click this import. So copy this, simply copy it without the style tag because we already have it, and then put it here. And then how to choose the font, you just choose font family Anton, because Libre Bodoni was last time we selected. So just choose the font family like this and save. Immediately you can see it reflected here. Can you see that? The font has changed. So if I Control Z, and then I save it, let's come back, you can see it changed again to the original one. So this way you can choose attractive fonts with Google Font and you can simply add it here. So your bosses or your customers will be very happy with the font, because font is very important in any website. You can choose as this method, and of course, as I told you, in global CSS you can do any color changes, it's possible. So you can play around with the CSS. Main.js is nothing, it's just targeting the body. And app.svelte, of course you can break it into many components. So if I get time, I can show you a more detailed form of website. So currently the basic thing what we need to know and work out to become a better developer or a knowledgeable developer is a CRUD. Basic thing is a CRUD application. So I have shown you the CRUD application. So with that, once more I am requesting you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like it, and put in your comments what you would like me to show in more upcoming videos. So thank you very much for your patient listening. You can download the source code from my GitHub, and also you can look at the author's website where I'll put a link for the author with due credits to him. Thank you very much, and we'll meet up in yet another episode of Penang Teams YouTube technical video presentation. Thank you. Have a nice day and bye bye.